Welcome back. Well, with me in the studio is Comrade James Ezima. Comrade James, it's a delight to have you on Corero.
Thank you very much, and I'm glad to be here.
25 years after uninterrupted democracy, a lot of questions are still begging for answer. But then let's begin the conversation by first looking at the whole trajectory of our democracy, 25 years uninterrupted. Are we getting it right?
Well, thank you very much. You see, when what we are looking at today is a topic that is at the core, at the roots of Nigeria's underdevelopment, as it were, because they will begin to tell you about how the colonial masters, the Western powers underdeveloped Africa. But we are looking at how political parties are underdeveloping Nigeria, because that's what these issues are all about. We are not getting there, and we may not get there very soon. Why? Because, like expressed in the intro, you see, political parties dominate the democratic practice in Nigeria at the moment. How do I mean? Political parties are the ones that decide who becomes candidates. They are the ones who decide who becomes elected, because without you running under a political platform, a political party platform, you cannot be featured in any election in Nigeria, to the extent that for you to become a councillor, you must have a political party platform that you have to run election on that for that purpose. So what we are now looking at is that are we making progress? The answer is no. Why are we not making progress? We are not making progress because political parties are the ones controlling what happens. In a democracy as defined in the intro, it is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But as it is now, what we practice in Nigeria is government by political parties, for political leaders, and it is the politicians that that seem to be the ones that benefit at the end of the day. Dividend of democracy in Nigeria is for politicians, not for the people.
So invariably you're saying that the party structures in Nigeria is basically for a selected few.
Sure. It's just for a selected few, those who are privileged to be members of the political party, privileged to be leaders within the political party. Just take, for instance, how many people elect candidates in an election? Just a few delegates. Is a few delegates that come together, and they are quartered somewhere, and at a point, maybe the candidate has some good money. He goes to their hotels, sort them out, and at the end of the day, they will come to the election ground, and they deliver the person who have sorted them out. And then at the end of the day, we have a candidate. And then all the political parties, almost, they follow the same pattern. And at the end of it, we are having people who just bought their candidacy through the delegates. And they're not actually the people, the persons that individuals want. You see, in some primary elections, you will see that they would have, the political party have agreed, the political party leaders have agreed that the XYZ person was going to emerge, and they have sorted it out. And there was a case of one election where the names of the candidates in the aspirants in that election have already been, listed, and then they have already told the delegates who to vote for, irrespective of their own interest, irrespective of their own judgment, irrespective of the perception or the program of the aspirants. It was not important. The political party has spoken. And then there was another case where a political party decided to print one or two forms and say, no, there was no vacancy, you cannot. Nobody should buy any forms, to contest an election. So these are the ways that political party dominate and control our democracy in such a manner that the people are only remembered after 4 years of election. When another election is coming, then they will now come back and say, let us go back to these people, and then it's time for them to come out to come and vote. But immediately after the voting, their voices are lost.
Comrade, let's talk about the old parties right now across Nigeria. They tend to be struggling, having these internal democracy challenges.
Yeah.
Almost all the political parties right
Sure.
now, apart from the ruling All Progressive Congress, which although it still has its own fair share in its own internal rivalries. Now, when we look at various political parties, they also have a challenge when it has to do with the credibility of their primaries in general. We've seen this play out, and we see our great members also speak up when this happens. But then, I'm curious, what is stopping us from having through party accountability to ensure that these old party structures in Nigeria reflect the average Nigerians, the mind of the average Nigerian?
Yeah. You see, the truth of it is that the way the political parties are run and the way the constitution and all the relevant laws, have it today, you cannot contest for an election unless you are contesting under a political party.
Yeah.
So if, for instance, the individual politician, will have to run as a candidate on his own, as an independent candidate, that would actually help to, weaken the strongholds of political party on our democracy, because the strongholds of the political parties in our democracy is so powerful that the citizens have less to do in terms of just after the elections. After the elections, the electorates have no voices. They cannot speak. And then is worse in a situation where the civil society is non-existent. So the moment elections are over, our political parties, take over who is nominated as a minister, who is the person that is nominated as a commissioner, who is appointed as a special advisor, because the system is not basically by merit, but it rewards loyalty to the political party. It rewards loyalty to individual opinion leaders and godfathers within those political parties. So it is not about who is the best, who will give the people the needed dividend of democracy is not the top priority for political parties in Nigeria. And that is the reason why you see that most of these political parties are always having internal problem, because their interest is not the people. This problem will continue to arise so long as their interest is not the ordinary citizens. Because if the interest of these political parties are the ordinary citizens, you will know that while the other leader is thinking about the citizen, the other leader is thinking about the citizen, every person within the political party is thinking, how do we make the life of the ordinary people better? And then you will see that there will be no rivalry, because why? They have a common goal. They have a common agenda. But in the situation whereby you see that some of these political parties are just there, for how do I benefit? I'm a politician. I have invested. How do I reap from what I have sown? Yes, I have followed this leader for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. It is my turn to, be given opportunity to have a fair share of the cake on the table. And that is all what we are seeing in Nigeria political parties. And that is why there's crisis in our political parties. And it will continue to be there until it is the people that are the ones deciding how and why and who becomes, a candidate of a party.
Well, Comrade James, if you observe in the last election, we saw Nigerians, especially young Nigerians, troop out in their numbers just to register and also participate in the electioneering processes.
Sure.
right now, a lot of people will say that what they voted for was not what they got. That the whole process was marred with irregularity, although INEC have come out often to disprove that, to say, hey, all electoral observers also across the world that witnessed that election, observed the election, also came out to speak in that regard, to disregard some of the claims the Nigerians held. But then, looking at FCT elections, to start with, 2026, taking it down again to, let's even begin with the Anambra election. The
November 8th election yes.
That's coming up in Anambra, taking it away from Anambra, moving it to FCT. Moving from FCT, we're going to the whole election happening in 2026 to 2027, which is going to be the general election. Can we say at this point that Nigerians trust the system to produce candidates for them?
You see, Nigerians cannot trust the system to produce candidates for them, because if they trust the system to produce the best of us, to represent the rest of us, I'm sure that nobody, the who and cry after elections will not be there. You see that people are complaining after election because there is somebody that the people would have wanted, but because of the way, the skewed nature of the structure in the political structure in the country, you discover that these people who felt that, look, ordinarily we would have voted this guy, but he has been schemed out by the system, because the system is so strong and so domineering that it cannot allow the choice of the ordinary citizens to emerge as the leader in the country. Remember, in the build-up to the 2023 election, we had that was the first time that I had the phrase, the owners of Nigeria, so the owners of Nigeria sometimes will now decide, and these are the power blocks that we are talking about, that is creating some of these imbalances that shortchange the people. And then you will see that these owners of Nigeria are the people that will come and now say, this is the person who we want, irrespective of the needs that the people want to be met, and then the person whom they have seen that possesses the qualities that will meet those needs. So I remember in the build-up to the 2023 election, there was issues within some political parties. A particular political party was to conduct a primary, and along the way, somebody somewhere told one of the candidates, look, don't just bother yourself, because we have decided on who is going to emerge. And then, it became an issue. But so that is how that's how those political parties and political leaders and, those political opinion leaders within political parties and godfathers decide who becomes, elected as a candidate of the party. And the people are the ones that will pay for it. And because what we see at the end of the day is bad leadership. Bad leadership produces poor governance. And then at the end of the day, it breeds corruption. Because these people cannot be held accountable by anybody. After all, you are not the one that brought them to office. So how dare you hold them accountable? And that is the reason why when you see that the people are making demands and trying to hold government accountable, you see them either using certain kind of law, the cyber law or whatever law, they want to gag the citizens. They don't want the citizens to speak. Because why? They know that they don't need you. They need the political godfathers. They need those party leaders. They are the ones that they need at the end of it all, if they must return. And then when they come back, they will just do a kind of, they know that we have weak institutions, then they organize the shadow elections, and there's something that seemed or looked like an election, and at the end of the day, someone is selected. And because they know that that is the norm, what do you expect? They will never listen to anybody. And when you talk, they will try to see how they can, silence such a fellow. And that is what has been happening over and over and over again in Nigeria. And that is really the reason why we keep remaining in one place. And that's why we are here. And that is the reason why Nigeria is finding it difficult to move forward, irrespective of the quality of individuals, the quality of the human capital we have in this country. Human resources in Nigeria is so abundant that we can see them thriving abroad. But in Nigeria, what happens? We have leadership deficiency in Nigeria because the people that get to office are not the people that ordinarily have the capacity to deal with the challenges that we have in the country. And you see the best of us, they will always, after getting frustrated, elope and go to other climes to go and better their own life and then better the economy of such countries. And that's the reason for most time we are talking about the Japa syndrome and the brain drain and the things like that. So it is happening because the system is frustrating the ordinary people and frustrating the best of us and making them not to remain within the system to develop the country. And that is a very, very bad news that we should not we should not be hearing.
All right, so let's talk about reforms even within the electoral system.
Yeah.
Of course, we keep during electionary period, we keep hearing about reforms, electoral reforms here and there. Are these reforms actually translating into actual change in your observation?
You see, the reforms can never translate to actual change. Why? It's because the terms of that reform they are not tailored towards dealing with issues that concern the citizen.
Even looking at the individual parties right now.
Yes. The issue is that it is a systemic matter. The thing is that it's a systemic issue because it is a creation of the Constitution. The Constitution is the one that created the political parties, and they made it mandatory that you cannot contest for an election unless you belong to a political party. And that is why it is like that. So there is, irrespective of the political party in place, the only thing is that the degree to which individual citizens and the ordinary people are silenced, it may vary, but the practice remains the same. So in practice, what we see is a system that frustrates the majority, which are the electorates, which are those people who cannot even have access to political party offices or political party meetings. You can see how they guard where they hold their meetings and primaries, and then you see that it's difficult for an ordinary citizen to even approach be part of that process. And if the electorates are not part of the process that produce the candidate of any political party, how are they going to now have the best of the persons that they are thinking should be the person who should hold office? And when a political party is the only one that will nominate people who are going to be councillors, who are going to be ministers, who are going to hold one office or the other, then what are you expecting? It is those people that those godfathers give the opportunity.
Political competition.
Yes, they are the ones that will come, because it is about loyalty and the rewards. So it's not about merit. That's why in this country, most people are running to contest for governorship or to win, to become candidates, because they know that either if they lose, they will now be compensated by appointments by their party if their party wins. So people want is a political investment that they are doing. You buying a ticket at 100 million, 200 million, 40 million, irrespective of the how poor the economy is because it is a political investment. People are investing because you know that you want to become an opinion leader. You want to be somebody whom the party will recognize and say, yes, this person has contributed to the party. Then it's time to give him that recognition by appointing him either a commissioner or a minister or something. The reason is just because these elites have to maintain themselves and the oil their circle, so that they will remain in office. And that is what is happening. You see, in Nigeria, it is so bad now that if one party wins an election, the rest of the political parties are thrown away. You cannot go and you just recently you see some like in this current administration, you see where they appointed 1 or 2 persons from outside of the political party, the political party that won the presidency, and then you see that even those people who are appointed, they are working to ensure that they remain in the good books of the people that appointed them. So they are not interested in the people. It's not the people that is the priority, and that is why it is alarming as it is today, because Nigeria is in such a track that we cannot get better until we go back to reforms that are determined by the people. You can see the reforms, the tax reform bills, and the hue and cry about them. Now, when we're talking about those reforms, who were the people crying? Was it the ordinary people? It was them that was bothered and worried about the sharing formula. Once they gathered together and settled the sharing formula, that was the issue, that was what was creating the problem. They never bothered about any other thing. They never bothered about the citizen. And then they agreed, and they went, and the bill passed, and everything got successful. So reforms that we are seeing today, are they reforms that are centered on the citizens, or are they reforms that are meant to reward politicians who are in office? And these are the issues that we should be looking at. Reforms should be citizen-centered. It should be based on working towards ensuring that the ordinary citizen's life is better. You see, poverty is everywhere, while you see that people whom were elected into office are everywhere driving their cars, irrespective of the fact that fuel is expensive for the ordinary citizen. But their cars, they are on the road. Their convoys are not reducing. So they are not part of those who are hit by some of these things. But remember, some of these people in office, many of them don't even spend their salary at the end of the day. They have free food, free fuel, free everything. And then when they leave office, even their dry cleaners, it's the government that pay. So when they leave office, that's when they will now come back, and then they start finding a way, because the person has been shortchanged one way or the other, is now out of the mainstream of the power politics. Then he will start crying. You see him, if he could not be accommodated with that place, he will not jump to another political party and start struggling for another relevance. And that is what we're having in Nigeria. So most of the times, the reforms that we see are just to make the life of the politicians better.
But, all right, so Comrade James Ezima, a lot of politicians at this point will say that some of their manifesto carries the citizens at heart. But then, most citizens do not even take their time to go through the manifesto. They don't take their time to understand political structures. Take it from any angle you want to look at it from. Taking it from even you're already laughing. If we take it from the campus,
manifesto,
we're looking at the manifesto is what I'm looking at the branch, looking at the caucus, then down to the military. All of these structures of political parties, Nigerians don't take their time to even want to understand all of this. Hence, this is why politicians are getting away with all that they are doing. How correct is this assertion? That is due to the fact that Nigerians are not interested in understanding the old political dynamics. That's why politicians are getting away with this.
I agree with you 100%. But, like I said earlier, it is a creation of our laws. If the Constitution did not insist that a political party must field an individual before the person can contest for an election, or emerge a leader, or become president, become governor, become councillor, these things will not be
so
there.
What would you rather prefer that the Constitution do?
What
should remove the power, political party?
Yes, the power is too concentrated. It's just like when we talk about in our national life, we talk about true federalism. Kind of decentralizing the power. The power is so centered at the political parties that you cannot do anything except it is through the political party. And that is where the problem is. How can even the people do they even know what the political parties are doing?
But the political parties come to campaign.
They come to campaign.
They reel out
Yes,
their manifesto.
yes, when they
and the citizens don't take their time to even want to understand the rudiments and the dynamics, the content of the manifesto.
Yes,
So so we should at this point not even be blaming the politicians. We should rather be blaming Nigerians. So don't you think so?
We will blame Nigerians only if this thing has not been consistent. See, there's a way you will get excluded. You will think that exclusion is a norm. You have consistently been excluded, either in policy, in decision, in all kinds of decision making, and then these people don't care until the next election. They will now remember there's one bad road somewhere. They will come and make the same promises they have made in the previous election, telling the same people that we are going to fix this road. See, when we started this current experiment with the current political party, the APC, they made promises, and it got to a point that, what did we hear? The then president said he promised nothing. So he said he promised nothing.
I mean, you don't have it on record that he made a promise.
Must I have it on record?
You don't have it. You don't have it on record.
Must I now have it on record?
When you said
were talking about party manifesto.
As an allegation,
that was why I laughed. When you were talking about party manifesto.
Yes.
See, the party manifesto ordinarily supposed to be the bond between the electorate and the political party.
How many electorates demand for the manifesto?
How many
electorates
political
demand
parties,
for the manifesto?
No, how many political parties
electorates
campaign
even
based on
read
manifesto?
the manifesto?
No, how many political parties campaign based on manifesto? Most political parties don't even remember their manifesto when they go for campaigns. What do? They get to campaign grounds. The individual candidate of the party continues to dish out promises, because that is what they know. It is not the job of the citizens to also demand for manifestos to be shared. It's not the job of the citizens to also ask and call for accountability. We shouldn't. Yes, I agree. But what I'm saying is that, while I agree that the citizens should be making demands for accountability, while the citizens should be scrutinizing what the leaders are doing, you will know that their scrutiny has limits, because they cannot influence who becomes the candidate of the party. They don't have any influence about who becomes the candidate of the party. So the people who have been elected, they have been elected in the previous election, will stand to please political party and political party leaders. You remember what they talk about political party supremacy. It is political party supremacy that they talk about. They are not talking about the citizens' supremacy. It is the citizens that ordinarily that should be have the supreme authority to decide who becomes their leader.
But we do that on the ballot.
We do that on the ballot only after the political parties have selected who they wanted, not the people who the citizens want.
So you would have preferred that the citizens get involved.
Citizen participation is diminishing
from the selection process of primaries.
Exactly.
Is that what you said?
The political parties, the citizen participation is diminishing right from the selection process for a candidate of the party, because the constitution have made it that the political party have to decide who becomes who runs on their platform. And then if the political parties that are deciding who is running on their platform decide that they will just bring a moron and give to everybody, there's nothing you can do. They say go back and work for your party. Even when you are crying and feeling shortchanged as an aspirant, they will say go home and work for the party. Before you know it, they have set up a reconciliation committee and promises are made. Okay, if we win election, you are going to become this, you are going to become this. They share offices, and at the end of the day, everybody go home, and then they work for the worst of the candidates, the aspirants who have emerged as candidates. They work and make sure that they deliver the person, because the promises have been made. And that's why the constitution is the one that is fueling some of these frustrations, that is making the citizens less and less involved in the politics or in the country. So the citizens have to, yes, wake up, but how do you, to what extent? Because in Nigeria as of today, the civil society is dead.
Allegedly.
The civil society is dead.
Allegedly dead.
Well, anyhow you want to put it, but the civil society today is no longer the voice of the people. They are not mobilizing the people. They are not working to ensure that the citizens are, conscientized, to make demands. The social civil societies are not there. So how can the citizens be enlightened? How can they make progress? How can they make demand? How can they call for accountability?
Even educated Nigerians. Educated Nigerians don't demand for manifestos.
Yes, because
educated Nigerians don't go through party constitutions.
Exactly, because they believe that the
culture of Nigeria is that once you know that this is Labour Party, or this is African Democratic Congress, or this is the People's Democratic Party, this is the All Progressive Congress, or all the other political parties. Now, once you know that this political party is AYZ, you know them by their names.
Yes.
Nigerians don't take time to go through this party's constitution.
Yes.
We don't demand for party's constitution
because it is irrelevant.
We don't demand for the you said it's not relevant.
It's irrelevant because
you don't demand for the party's constitution.
You know why it's irrelevant?
You don't demand for the party's manifesto.
Yes.
But then you are quick to say that the party does not have a structure. The party structure is marred with a lot of frivolities.
Yes.
We're quick to say, but then we have a very large chunk of work to do in terms of voters' education, which we are not doing as
which political party is carrying out voter education?
You know,
which among the political parties?
How many enlightened Nigerians have demanded?
It is the duty.
How many education
is the duty of a political
Nigerians
party.
Demanded for? I'm asking you so you can. You belong to the civil society and also as a path of this whole advocacy, because you always speak for Nigerians to get involved in electoral processes. But I'm curious, how many educated Nigerians have parties' constitutions? So, and I'm just curious. That's what I'm asking. How many Nigerians are educated?
Let's even talk about members of political parties. Some of these people who are actual card-carrying members of political parties, how many of them have the party, the manifesto of their party? How many of them have the constitution of their party? Except if there is an issue, they will go and look for wherever the constitution is to use it as a way either to get into office or to make sure that someone else did not get.
So you're saying at this point, the act of not going through a party constitution, the act of not going through manifesto, which has become like a norm that we do right now in the country, is the right step in the right direction.
How will it be? That's what is leading to what we are suffering today. Okay, let me give you an example.
All right.
If you are in a political party, we saw at the National Assembly, at the Senate, for instance, you see some of the senators who stood up to speak against the interests of their party and in favor of the ordinary citizens. What happened at the end of the day? Some of them were punished for speaking up for the people. Why did you not toe party lines? These are the things we are talking about. So why should the person begin to worry himself about any other thing except to please the political party and make sure that the party leaders are all right so that he can come back the next election? We have seen people when they are making their contribution and making their debate and they decide to go contrary to the interest of some people, they will say, no, he will not come back. We are not the electorate, ordinarily. But because they know it is the political party that controls whatever whichever candidate will emerge. That is why they can confidently say, this person cannot come back. And they will not come back. We saw some people that, decamped from one political party to the other. And then after they won the election and everything, and there are other, they got to a point that they will go back to the political party where they left, because in this other place the power play probably did not favor them, and they will go back to the other side because probably there are promises that I have made. So these are the things, and that's why it is easy for our political leaders and the politicians to move from one political party to the other. But because the political parties are not ideologically based, and then they are just about power. who is in power today, who gets it tomorrow. And that is all what they are thinking about. And that's why the constitution will continue to be the one to blame for some of these things. And that's the reason why some people have been agitating for a people constitution, a constitution that was actually given to the people by themselves. So if the ground norm is wrong, you cannot produce anything right.
All right, we'll come back to that. But then we're looking at two issues right now, especially as it involves Nigerian citizens. Their voices need to be heard.
Sure.
But then what we observe is Nigerians are largely focused on elections. And once when the election period is over, we tend to turn a blind eye even on governance. Because you've rightly agreed with me that majority of Nigerians don't even go through the party constitution.
Sure.
So how can people that don't understand the dynamics, the structures of the political parties, I don't understand what this political party represents, even educated Nigerians, how can they concentrate on governance when they don't even know? That's where I'm even coming to right now. With all of this in mind, is there light at the end of the tunnel for citizens of this country?
You see, the only time we can say there will be light at the end of the tunnel is if we can begin to have civil society rising up and conscientizing the people. Because without the civil
society rise,
yes, without the civil society
rise.
See, the democracy, the civil society have a major role to play in terms of driving change.
So now you've alleged that the civil society,
but the civil society is not there.
You're saying that you've alleged that the civil society are not functioning.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so as it stands right now, that's why I'm saying
that it is difficult for you to have that light at the end of the tunnel.
There is no, as it stands right now, there is no light at the end of the tunnel. Educated Nigerians will not read. Educated Nigerians will not study. Or should we begin to have conversation around infusing some of this party manifesto into every of our curriculum to ensure that every Nigerian child, be it in the humanities or in whatever field you find yourself, you must understand the party structures?
It's part of what should be, because if we don't integrate governance really and in practical terms into our curriculum, we always have this kind of citizens that are so docile, they are not interested. See, when you try to push some citizens, they will say, no, don't, I'm not interested. Why? Because they are disenchanted. Over the years, they have faced the same reality. And what are these realities? The realities are, one, that the political party will, at the end of the day, be the one to decide. Two, that even if a candidate of their choice emerges, that the system will work in such a manner that a person who they did not plan for will be elected. And if that be the case, this kind of frustration continues every now and then. How do you expect the citizens, to have hope that there will be light at the end of the tunnel? So that's why you see that people are individually pursuing things that they want to use to better their own personal lives. Because the politicians are not working in the interest of the people. They are working in their own personal interest. They want to satisfy their own personal interest, the interest of their circles and associates. And that is it. So, and that is why somebody who have no knowledge of a particular field will now be appointed as a minister to oversee a specialized field. Let's take power, for instance. Who is the minister of power? Does he has engineering background? So, and it's not only him. There are many ministers like that who are overseeing some offices that they don't have any background, any knowledge about. So, and then at the end of the day, how do you want that office to prosper? How can that office deliver? Because the civil service is such a manner that they will always get you when they know that you don't have knowledge of some of these things. They will tell you come and tell you, okay, this is how we are doing it and things like that, and before you know it, the person will remain within that mediocre level of achievements, that you will see that somebody will come and be announcing achievement on television. You are allowed to announcing achievements on television is because you are not achieving anything. If you are achieving something, it's the people that will be singing your praises. That is the people that will be talking about it everywhere.
All right, Comrade James, before I let you go, because I've been signaled right now that it's time for us to go. So how do we balance this to ensure that we have a more productive nation in terms of our political structures and also the citizens' voice? Because I'm very particular about the voices of the citizens to be represented and be heard.
You see, first of all, we have to go back to the drawing board. Is this constitution that we have today a constitution that was made by the citizens for themselves? The answer is no. So the very first thing we need to do is to go back to where we started.
But the constitution was made by Nigerians.
Well,
for Nigerians.
Where Nigerians made
the constitution was made by Nigerians.
Yes, where Nigerians made to vote yes or no in a referendum.
It was not alien that created the constitution.
Yes.
The constitution was created by Nigerians.
Yes, I agree.
For Nigerians.
It was created by Nigerians for Nigerians.
Yes.
But the rest of the people who were not part of
the rest of the people? The constitution was created by
Nigerians. Did they subject that constitution to a referendum?
Well, it wasn't subjected to a referendum, but it was created by Nigerians.
That is what we're talking about. It is not enough.
When you say that, when you say the people...
even when the people originate the constitution,
yes,
at the end of the day, it will still be subjected to a referendum. And if it is subjected to a referendum, people can now vote yes or no. The majority will have their way, and the minority will have their say. You will now say, yes, we, the people, gave to ourselves. But in this case, 1999 Constitution, no matter how much of the amendments that we are making, was not a constitution that is given by the people to themselves. It is a constitution that the people actually came together, put together, and then they got a president and say, this is the constitution. Even Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, as the president of Nigeria at that time, I'm not sure he saw the 1999 constitution until he was elected. So that is it, because it's a schedule in a decree of the military. So it is not a constitution that has emanated from the people. And until we get back to that situation where we got it wrong, and then retrace our steps and get it right, the rest of the issues will continue to be there. See, no matter who you bring into governance, so long as the ground norm is not a product of the wishes of the ordinary people, the system itself will continue to shortchange the people. There is no way we can move anywhere close to what we want as a country until we deal with the issues that are making us not to participate in the electoral process. And part of it is the constitution that we have today.
All right, thank you so much, Comrade James. I would really appreciate you for finding out time to be with us here on Korero.
Thank you very much.
Well, viewers, is how far we can go tonight here on Korero. Don't forget that you can follow us on our various social media handle currently showing on your screen. And you can also download the Rapid TV app from your Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcasts. My name is Godwin Sunday. And like I always say, always remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Do enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye for now.